let's talk about anxiety, shall we? I've had anxiety for my whole life. I do have an anxiety disorder. And I find that anxiety and perfectionism are like such good friends. Oh man, they are buddies. they just they feed off each other. They're so fun. Overthinking, let me have all of it. And there's so many things that it just gets in the way. It just gets in the way. And I've tried so much throughout my life to just push through. And I found myself getting so stuck. And I found myself not pushing forward with the things that I wanted to do. I would procrastinate on things because I wasn't doing them in the way that I thought you were supposed to. Like I wasn't following the rules correctly, and which is crazy because on the one hand I've got this anxiety, overthinking, perfectionist thing, and then the other side I'm multi-passionate. I'm kind of creative. I think outside the box, and then these two things would just they're just clashing heads. They're just clashing heads all the time, and I I've done a lot of work though in the last few years, and I was thinking about it today because I've been talking I've been on a lot about fitness, but really like this could be applied to anything. But with fitness, I would always get stuck in these loops of you got to do the plan perfectly. You got to do it to a T. You got to rah, 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 rah. And of course that would lead to, burning out, or I wasn't able to complete things just right, and then I just pitched the whole thing. And I would just get into these cycles of like fixating on these details that doesn't really matter. Like, you know, sticking to it and consistency and all those things, that's great. But I would try to follow them to a fault, and I would overthink it all to the point where I wasn't enjoying myself, to the point where I couldn't stick with anything, to the point where I had a hard time just taking care of myself in certain ways because doing nothing to me was better than doing it wrong. Is that weird? It's kind of crazy, huh? Speaking of doing it wrong, I forgot my microphone, so hopefully the audio is okay. You'll probably hear the ocean actually in the background, so that's kind of a bonus. So what I've been working on is more so thinking about how to make the action, whatever it is, if it's fitness, if it's another goal, how easy can I make it? And how easy can I make it to even just do like little bits to get in the habit and train my mind that it's okay to do it that way, that it's okay to do it a little messy, that it's okay to just do it in bits and pieces. As long as I'm moving the needle, that's more important. Speaking of doing it messy, my phone, I guess my phone hadn't backed up in a while, and it said that the memory was full, and I was like, what? I have iCloud, like what is happening? So anyway, I had to take a few minutes to back that up, and I did not freak out. I did not immediately just get in my car and go home, although I really wanted to. I was so pissed. And I'm also trying to not have a complete and total Apple rant right now about how you have to pay for cloud storage instead of being able to just put in an SD card on these phones. I did not. Oh, whatever. So doing the little things, doing little things to just move the needle. And that's where I've had to really force myself a little bit. I don't want to say force myself. I realized that if I was not being a little more mindful and a little more gentle with things, I was just going to keep with the same pattern of not doing anything and then being frustrated with myself because I wasn't doing anything, and then trying to do the thing but being frustrated because it wasn't how I wanted it to be. And it's just this vicious, awful cycle that just makes you want to just get in bed and not want to do anything ever again. And so it was just like finding the little ways, finding the easy things and being okay with it. Oh my, I know. Being okay with it is very hard. So it took practice. It takes practice. I still grapple with it. On any other given day, I would have deleted the video so far simply because I couldn't get past the fact that my phone stopped. So it's a practice, and it's just like these little bits. I'm just sharing this. Like, I feel like these are things that I needed to hear. These are things that I needed to hear like a while, like my whole life, honestly. These are really things that I really started to implement and really started doing in the last few years. And yeah, it's been worth it though, because I'm finding like I'm getting these little things. I'm getting these like little things done. And I'm getting more accomplished now than I did when I would get myself so spun up and so worked up and so in my own head, you know. I do wish I had implemented being more, I know everyone's talking about mindfulness. I know, man, I know. I know. But it really does help, because I can stop myself before I start, be like, hey, what's the worst gonna happen? Like, hey, why, let's just think outside the box for a bit, you know, get a little more creative about it. It's not going to, and who knows, maybe the new thing is better. You know, then that's kind of the rub too, is that there were times when I had this like idea in my head of how I wanted something to be. And then, and I would start to get that, but then I would shift the thinking just a little bit, and it actually ended up being better than the thing I was thinking. And, to begin with. So I don't know. That's today's diary entry. I think, I actually have really cool news. I decided, and this is actually quite funny because I just had this phone memory issue. I decided that for an early birthday present, I'd order myself a camera, and it was supposed to be here this week, but it got delayed. It happened again. Apparently, I thought it was backing up, but I guess I was in a dead zone, and it didn't have any cell service. So it got caught up again, it got cut off again. So we're gonna pick this back up tomorrow.